Hey there, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and since it is mid-December and Christmas is almost upon us, I thought it was appropriate for me to make a wintry thank you card as today's project. So to start off with, I have some very, very inexpensive cold press watercolor paper, and I'm going to be backing that onto an A2 sized piece of gray cardstock. I'll be using the Hero Arts Thank You Pear dies, as well as the Elizabeth Craft Designs Snowflakes die set for this project, and a few other elements as well. So I'll be using this really, really cool silver craft cardstock paper, silver cardstock that I got from Create and Craft that I absolutely love. And then I'll be using a bunch of distress inks. So to start off with, I have pulled out my Misty tool, and I have the My Favorite Things Snowfall background stamp. And I'm going to be stamping it onto this piece of watercolor paper. I'm on the smooth side of the watercolor paper. And I've kind of placed that paper somewhere in the Misty so I could reposition it if I need to. And so I know where it is in case it gets moved. And I'm using my anti-static pouch here to try to keep excess embossing powder from getting onto it. And then I'm using white pigment ink to stamp these snowflakes, I guess. They're really more like dots, but it's like, it looks like a snowy background. And I'm using the Misty so I can get a really good coverage, so I stamped it twice. Wanted to make sure that I really got it on there, because it's pretty hard to see white on white, and you don't know until you start adding the distress inks really how well it's turned out. So I'm going to be pouring detail white embossing powder onto this, and then I will heat set it with my heat gun. There is a little bit that gets kind of out of place and a little bit out of hand, so I have this ratty paintbrush that I used to get rid of sort of embossing powder that's in the wrong place. So I'm using that, and I do that quite a bit, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm going to skip ahead here to the heat setting. So I'm heat setting this, and it's a little difficult to see. Hopefully you can see when the light hits it just right. When it sort of turns from matte to shiny, that's when you know that it has set. So you can kind of see a little bit there when it gets all shiny. And I have to take it close to me so I can see it, since I'm kind of nearsighted. So here I am with my water brush that I don't have water in. I'm just using it as a brush. And then I have my cup of water, and I have some distress inks, and I am just basically smooshing this onto that same piece of watercolor paper to create kind of a colorful background to my snowstorm that I've created with that My Favorite Things stamp and the white heat embossing. So the colors I'm using are Tumbled Glass, Stormy Sky, Wilted Violet is that bright purple I'm using right now, Milled Lavender, and then Stormy Sky. And I squish it onto my craft mat, and then I take water and I kind of water it down a little bit, and then I'm just kind of squishing it on and letting it blend together onto the paper. And I don't have any like particular plan here. I'm just kind of winging it. So really, basically, I'm just trying to kind of balance out the colors and get sort of a nice ratio of the lighter colors to the darker colors. And I want it to be somewhat colorful, hence why I'm using kind of like Salty Ocean is a pretty bright blue, and the Wilted Violet is a pretty bright purple. The Stormy Sky that I'm putting on now kind of tones it down a little bit. It's a much darker kind of gray blue, and that Milled Lavender lightens up the Wilted Violet, but it creates a really pretty like sort of blue purpley blend to this winter sky that I'm trying to create, although certainly not realistic. It's a much more colorful winter sky than you would normally see, obviously. And to me, it almost looks like a little bit like those, when you see people make like galaxies and stuff. It kind of reminds me of that, although obviously not with a night sky. It's more like a daytime bright and colorful sky, if that makes sense. And so there's some Milled Lavender that I've added on to kind of balance out some of the purples. And you can see some of the blending going on, which I really like. And then I'm just taking a paper towel and I'm kind of drying off just a few of the edges where the colors kind of running together around the sides. But I don't want to do it completely because I would like some of those like kind of dark spots. So there you see the dried piece. I think it turned out really well. And then here are the 3 snowflakes from the Elizabeth Craft Designs Snowflakes die set, and I cut those out of just plain white cardstock. And then I cut 4 of the thank and 4 of the you with the Hero Arts thank you die pair there. So the 3 in white and 1 each in silver, and I'm going to stack those together, glue them together to create like a dimensional thank you greeting. And I thought when I put this on the gray background that it was a little boring, and I wanted to have like a cool edge on my like watercolor piece, but I didn't have the right sized rectangle die that had like a cool edge on it. So I broke out like an old-timey favorite, which is the decorative edge scissors. Those aren't really around much anymore, and there's kind of a reason for that, because you'll see here as I cut it that I do cut one side kind of crooked. But it's cute, and we gave it like a little postage edge stamp border all the way around, and I liked that little extra detail on it. And so now I'm just trying to figure out my placement of my snowflakes and my thank you. And now I'm going to glue down my snowflakes. And I am using one of my favorites, my Martha Stewart glue pen, and I'm just dotting glue all over the back of that big snowflake to get some glue coverage on there. And then I am just going to flip it over and put it down in place. You just have to press it down a little bit, and it really sticks pretty well. And so then I'm going to do that basically for the other 2 to get those in place. And I'm kind of trying to figure out, based on where the thank you is, how to place the other 2. So there you see, I've got the other 2 down. And now I'm going to start piecing together my words. So on the white cutouts, I was smart and I used Stick It. So I could just adhere them together really easily. This is super, super easy to do. As you can see, I'm just kind of fitting the 2 letters together. And the nice thing about the Stick It is that it's kind of it's repositionable until you really press it down. So there I've got all 3 done. And now I didn't do that on the back of the silver. I didn't think of it. So now I'm using my glue pen to adhere the silver piece to the 3 white pieces that I have already all adhered together. But I kind of like to give you the idea of how you can do it if you don't have Stick It. So, using a glue pen works really well for this as well. And then I just peel the Stick It off the back of the last one to adhere it down into place. And it makes a really, really nice, really shiny dimensional greeting. So I do the same thing for the U and get those in place. And then to add a little bit of a decorative border, I did take my Sakura Stardust Jelly Roll pen and draw a border all the way around each 4 sides of that gray piece of cardstock. And now I've put fun foam on the back of my thank you piece, and I'm adhering that to the back of the gray. And you can see I kind of adhered a little bit crooked, but it's not too bad. And I'm okay with that. And then, of course, I had to add some sequins because, anything that's winter related, well, really anything needs to have sequins, right? But since this was kind of a shimmery, wintry card, I thought some sequins were appropriate. So I've got some moonshine sequins from Simon Says Stamp and some silver ones, and I'm kind of deciding where those go. And then I adhere those down with multi-medium matte adhesive. And there you see the completed card and kind of how it's got some shininess to it, but it's also kind of fun and colorful with that blue and purpley background. And hopefully you kind of get what I mean as far as like the galaxy look to it. I kind of think it looks like that. And then I, of course, had to put it on some galaxy paper for photos to, make it look even more that way. And hopefully you can see how dimensional that thank you is. It's really, really fun. And that silver paper is super, super shiny. And I love it, and like really heavy duty. So hopefully I've given you a really quick idea on how to use your distress inks to make a really fun, really easy background for a card. And then some ways to add some wintry touches to a thank you card to give it sort of a January kind of feel, to thank everybody for all those Christmas gifts you're getting, right? All right, thanks so much. There's a supply list link below in the video description as well as on my blog. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked the video, and I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel. Have a great day.